Coming up today, South Korea and the United States vow to enhance their joint defense operations against North Korea following Pyongyang's fourth nuclear test. UN Security Council strongly condemns North Korea's latest nuclear test and pledges to pursue new sanctions against the regime. First, officials in Seoul have been holding a series of emergency meetings to assess the impact of the test on South Korea's financial market. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Thursday, the 7th of January. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. And we start with the latest reaction to North Korea's fourth nuclear test. President Park Geun-hye spoke with US President Barack Obama on the phone this morning to discuss North Korea's H-bomb test claim. During their 20-minute conversation, the two leaders are likely to have discussed ways to strengthen security cooperation among their allies as Pyongyang's latest test poses such a severe threat to regional security. Seoul and Washington will also consult with each other at the UN Security Council as it considers a new sanctions resolution. President Obama also spoke with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to coordinate their responses to the test. Now, the defense chiefs of South Korea and the United States have released a joint statement reaffirming their alliance and commitment to countering Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. South Korea's Defense Minister Han Min-gu and US Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter spoke by phone late Wednesday to discuss a joint response to the latest threat. Let's get all the details now from our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Hyun-bin, who's standing by for us at the Ministry of National Defense in Seoul. Hyun-bin.
Good afternoon, Mark. The defense chiefs called the incident a direct violation of international law as well as a threat to peace and stability, not only in the Korean Peninsula, but as well as the Asia-Pacific region.
Both ministers agreed that North Korea should pay a price that is proportional to the provocation.
Han also emphasized that the international community will not recognize North Korea as a nuclear state now or in the future. Now, the two countries plan to strengthen their joint military exercises and enhance their joint operations against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. This is known as the 4D plan, which stands for Detect, Disrupt, Destroy, and Defend.
And Hyun-bin, we are hearing that the US could redeploy tactical nuclear weaponry to the Korean Peninsula. Any truth in that?
That's right, Mark. Neither South Korea nor the U.S. were able to spot any unusual activity in or around North Korea's nuclear facilities prior to the test. So the redeployment of U.S. tactical nuclear weapons to South Korea could be on the discussion table.
Secretary Carter reaffirmed the U.S.'s ironclad defense commitment to South Korea, and this includes all kinds of extended deterrence assets.
Now, diplomatic sources in Washington told Seoul-based Yonhap news agency that Wednesday's nuclear test by the North will lead Seoul to strengthen its nuclear deterrent capabilities to counter Pyongyang's growing nuclear threats. Now, South Korea currently relies on the U.S. nuclear umbrella after Washington withdrew its nuclear weapons from the peninsula in the early 1990s. Now, every time North Korea conducts a nuclear test, and just as a reminder that's 3 times in 2006, 2009, and 2013, it has raised calls for the U.S. to redeploy tactical nuclear weaponry to the peninsula. But each time the idea has been dismissed as a non-starter by both governments. Tactical nuclear weaponry refers to a nuclear weapon which is designed to be used on a battlefield in military situations. The experts say some of the weaponry that could be discussed now could include a missile defense system known as THAAD, or Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. Though there's already been some controversy around whether the U.S. should deploy THAAD to South Korea. The U.S. could also deploy B-52 bombers and F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets.
Well, thank you very much for that report there, Hyun-bin. It appears to be a slight technical difficulty with the video. We'll endeavour to get that sorted out for our next newscast. Now, the UN Security Council has been united in its condemnation of North Korea's latest provocative and dangerous act. For the latest on that, we are going to connect to our Kwon So-ah at Seoul's Foreign Affairs Ministry. So, So-ah, let's begin with the UN's quick response to the North's test.
Hi, Mark. After their emergency meeting at 11 a.m. New York time, the United Nations Security Council said that it, quote, strongly condemned Pyongyang's claim of having conducted an H-bomb test.
The members of the Security Council strongly condemned this test, which is a clear violation of Security Council resolutions and of the non-proliferation regime, and therefore a clear threat to international peace and security continues to exist.
The last time the Security Council adopted the resolution 2013, in its resolution, Security Council expressed its determination to take further significant measures in the event of a further DPRK launch or nuclear test.
The additional measures are expected to be in the form of more sanctions on Pyongyang on top of the existing ones for its 3 previous nuclear tests and other provocations such as its long-range rocket launches. Now, according to an official at Seoul's Foreign Affairs Ministry, this could include enforcing trade, financial or other economic sanctions on individuals or entities. But he added that at this point it's too early to make more predictions as the Security Council meeting was held behind closed doors, and Korea, which is not a member this year, can only consult with the other members but not negotiate. When asked about the timing of the next meeting, the official said that's most likely going to be the day when the new resolution gets adopted, and his cautious prediction was for that to happen this month.
And so the US has been issuing more statements on the matter as well, and Washington is raising some serious questions about Pyongyang's claim that this was a test of a hydrogen bomb. What else are they saying?
Right, Mike. Well, White House spokesman Josh Earnest said that early government data shows that data from different sources isn't consistent with the North's claim. Now, he said intelligence agencies are continuing to search for more evidence, but there is generally a high degree of skepticism regarding the H-bomb claim, and most international experts have expressed doubt about it. Now, Minister Yoon and Unification Minister Hong Yong-pyo are scheduled to report to South Korea's National Assembly on the latest assessments later in the afternoon. So I will update you on that and more throughout the day. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, So-ah, for that report there. Now, South Korea's spy agency says it is more likely North Korea actually tested a boosted fission bomb rather than a hydrogen bomb, as it claims. Intelligence officials say the North appears to have made no technological advancements to its nuclear weapons since its 3rd test in 2013. And Wednesday's test should actually be considered a failure rather than a success. Oh Seong tells us more.
North Korea had been ready to conduct a 4th nuclear test since last year, according to the South's National Intelligence Service report that was presented to the National Assembly's Intelligence Committee.
It looks like preparations were made so discreetly that a test can be carried out at the press of a button.
The senior intelligence official stated that North Korea had mostly finished preparations for a 4th nuclear test, ever since it carried out its previous one in 2013. However, the NIS, along with the South Korean military, say it's unlikely Pyongyang carried out the hydrogen bomb test it claims. For a start, the size of the detonation was only 6 kilotons. H-bombs are at least 1 megaton, which makes it more likely the North tested a boosted fission bomb, a prior stage to the H-bomb. Even so, the spy agency says the test more or less failed, as a blast from the boosted fission bomb would have been up to 5 times stronger. This also means it failed to exceed the power of the 3rd test, which reached 6 to 7 kilotons. A source from the spy agency noted that the preparation time had been short, as Kim Jong-un only issued the test order 22 days before it was conducted. The South Korean military is currently analysing the atmosphere for trace elements of radiation, but the spy agency says the chance of finding anything significant is low. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
So it looks like more UN sanctions are on the way for North Korea, but US experts are demanding much tougher sanctions to be imposed on the regime. Richard Bush, who is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, said in the long run, containing North Korea through stronger sanctions is the only way to tame the regime's nuclear ambitions. Echoing his view, Evans Rivera, who is a former State Department official, strongly asserted that economic sanctions against North Korea must be ramped up and restrict all of the country's financial exchanges. He added that China should play a more active role in dismantling North Korea's nuclear program in collaboration with South Korea and the United States. Now, Victor Cha, who is Korea chair of the Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies, he said it's right for China to impose a financial embargo on the North or temporarily ban North Korean flights from entering China. So, since the North's claim that it successfully detonated a hydrogen bomb, officials in Seoul have been holding a series of emergency meetings to assess the impact on the financial market. South Korea's financial regulator says the impact will be limited, but risk management will be crucial this year. Kim Min-ji has the details.
Risk management should be of the utmost importance this year for financial stability in the face of lingering economic uncertainties at home and abroad. That's according to Im Jong-yong, the chairman of South Korea's Financial Services Commission, who was speaking during a meeting with experts and officials from related government agencies. The top financial regulator noted that while the current North Korea issue will have a temporary and limited impact on the local financial market, he stressed that it's important to be proactive in dealing with what is a fluid situation. Im added that geopolitical risks in the Middle East, as well as a growth slowdown in China, are some of the global uncertainties that require constant monitoring.
The uncertainties at home and abroad are high, so there is a need for flexible and rapid responses. We will push for structural reform to lift Korea's potential growth rate, as well as strengthen the country's economic fundamentals.
As for local risks, Im said households and companies need to better manage their debt, adding that the government will speed up the restructuring of companies that are insolvent while conducting regular inspections on their progress. The regulator also said that the Commission will double-check its contingency plans to guard against any fallout from the developing situations and be fully alert to respond to any repercussions in the financial market. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, in the rest of the day's news, and more chaos on the Chinese stock market as the plug was pulled on trading for the second time in just 3 days, after stocks nosedived 7% in just 15 minutes. Shares plunged 5% when the market opened, triggering a circuit breaker closure for 15 minutes. When things got going again, the selling picked straight up again, with the Shanghai Composite Index falling through 7%, and that triggers the shutdown for the rest of the day. As for its impact on Korea, as of 11:45 a.m. Korea time, so roughly half an hour ago, Korea's benchmark Kospi was trading at 1904. That's down 20 points or 1% from Wednesday's close. The World Bank has cut its forecast for the global economy this year to 2.9% due to weakness in developing economies. Its prior estimate, made last June, was 3.3%, and the global economy advanced 2.4%, it says, in 2015. According to the World Bank's biannual Global Economic Prospects report released on Wednesday, developing countries are expected to collectively grow 4.8% this year. That is up from a 6-year low of 4.3% last year. However, the bank warned a slowdown in several major emerging economies, including China and Brazil, may have sizable spillovers on other developing economies. Economic growth is forecast to enter the 3% range in 2017. Now, Korea is tightening its already extremely strict gun control laws. The authorities want to prevent people using a 3D printer to make their own firearm. Lee Ji-won has more.
Korea is one of the safest countries in the world when it comes to gun violence, as possessing firearms is strictly forbidden. Those found in a possession of a gun can face up to 10 years behind bars under Korean law. And the punishments for other gun-related offenses are being tightened. Anyone found guilty of uploading gun blueprints onto the internet will now face up to 2 years in prison. The National Police Agency said Thursday that the legal amendment was made under a newly titled law called Safety Management on Guns, Swords, and Explosives. The law takes immediate effect. The move is to further secure the safety of citizens, as there are growing concerns 3D printers could soon be advanced enough to produce fully functioning firearms. 이지원, Arirang News.
Now, most of Korea is getting a bitter blast of cold weather today that will likely linger through the end of the weekend at least. The season's first cold wave warnings were issued for Gangwon-do and northern Gyeonggi-do province this morning as the mercury plunged down to close to minus 10 degrees Celsius in places. Seoul started off at a jaw-chattering minus 5 degrees Celsius, and the high today is only expected to reach the freezing point, 0 degrees Celsius. And just a word of warning as well, it'll feel even colder on Friday and Saturday, so be sure to wrap up nice and warm like those people there. With that, let's take a look at the weather in your part of the world. Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in to our newscasts, and we'll be back throughout the day with more news bulletins. Until then, goodbye.